Hello, welcome back to Sikich Live number 6. We took a little break last week, so appreciate everyone hanging out with our recording of our AX to Dynamics 365 series. Hope everyone enjoyed that. Today, we're not switching gears too far away from that. We're still going to be in the ERP realm, and we'll be discussing the long-awaited Sikich DIY guide for ERP selection. So we are excited to share that with everyone. But before we get to that, I do want to remind everyone to hit the like and subscribe button wherever it is on any of your channels. And we'll be bringing these to you every single Thursday at 2:30 Central Time. And when you're subscribed, you'll get those notifications that we're going live. So make sure to do that. Excellent. So let's just get right into it. I want to talk about this DIY guide that Sikich just recently put out. And we have some of its co-authors here with us today. Lee House, he's partner of our sales and marketing team here at Sikich. Hey, Lee, how are you? If you want to quickly introduce yourself.
Yeah. Hey, Michael. First, thanks for inviting myself and Debbie to participate here today. I'm Lee House. I'm a partner here at Sikich. I've been involved with the Microsoft Dynamics product line since 2001. So I've got a lot of experience here, and look forward to having the opportunity to share some of those insights here with the audience.
Yeah, thanks so much for being here, Lee. And then we have the notorious Debbie Altum. Absolutely. Debbie, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi. So I'm Debbie Altum, enterprise sales team at Sikich. I'm a senior director in the firm. And what he said, we've been working with Dynamics product line since it almost began. So.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being here with us, Debbie. Let's just jump right into it. What the heck is this? What is the DIY guide? Lee, can you start us off?
Yeah, the do-it-yourself guide is it's a guide that we put together, and really, I'll tell you, the impetus for this was really what's going on, in the world today, with everything, in and around the pandemic. And we work with a lot of organizations that were either, A, they were in the middle of an implementation or an upgrade, or B, they were in the process of evaluating new ERP solutions. And, as a part of that, we knew that we had a lot of great insights that would be valuable not only to those businesses that we were already working with, but also to a lot of, businesses that were either on the cusp of starting an evaluation or were planning to at some point in the future. So, we wanted to take a lot of that information, get it documented, and just, put it out there as an opportunity for us to share a lot of our experiences. So, Debbie really, led a lot of the efforts around that. So, I mean, I'll ask Debbie to comment also.
Yeah, so I think one of the things we were thinking about when we started the document was there are teams out there that are mid-process, either selecting a product or wanting to get started with a rollout of Dynamics. And we're thinking, heck, we're really worried about the economic situation right now. We don't know what's happening. And in some cases, they had maybe more time on their hands that they needed to get going with the project, but they didn't want to pull in the consultant straight away. So a little bit was, what does a company do when they really don't want to engage a partner yet, don't want to spend a lot of money on their project right now, just keeping a little bit conservative with their spending? What can we do ourselves? What can we start to do ourselves to push this thing along without letting it grind to us?
Absolutely. So who is this for exactly?
I would say almost anyone. I mean, it's very Dynamics. It's Microsoft focused, right? So the guide that we've done is looking at, I want to buy a Microsoft business application. If you read it and you weren't buying a Microsoft application, it'd actually still be quite relevant. But we really focused on the Microsoft business apps. It's for an organization who thinks that Microsoft business apps are right for them or will be right for them, or have already chosen a Microsoft business app. and are ready for an implementation of ERP. In terms of who in an organization, anyone, I mean, I've talked to CFOs who have looked at it and read it. And I've also talked to CIOs who've looked at it and read it. So I think it's got something of interest for anyone who's in a project team. Wouldn't that be right, Lee?
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right, Debbie. I mean, it really, from an audience standpoint, it covers the waterfront, of a business. I mean, whether it's the executive, just like Debbie was referring to, or a lot of times, that executive team will ask a team, within their organization to go out and help to formulate, what the plan should be, and the types of things that their organization should be considering. And really, I mean, the document itself acts as a great guide, to help a business to get its act together around the type of things that they ought to be looking at, as a part of a potential evaluation and project. So, and it was really designed, with that in mind, to be able to go into the boardroom, or go to the shop floor, as well. So it's written with all that in mind.
Absolutely. So what if I'm down the road on my ERP selection a little bit, or I'm perhaps mid-project, which we find a lot of companies and organizations are already in the middle of somewhere in this guide? What do you recommend to them?
Yeah, I'll start there, Michael. So, I think that this is just as applicable to those types of businesses. Any good business leader, as a part of any engagement or process, is going to be continually asking questions, and those questions can be anything from how have we done thus far, to what could we do better, to hey, let's take a step back and make sure that we're doing everything that we should. And the do-it-yourself guide is, can be used as a point of reference, to help an organization, regardless of where they are in the process, whether, as you said, they're in midstream, they're evaluating, or what have you. It can be used again as a great tool, to help them to manage through things, and to ensure that they're doing the job that they should do for their business.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was looking through the guide a little bit, and I was noticing that there's so many great themes that apply. Oh, and here's a little preview too of what some of this DIY guide looks like. But there's a lot of different themes that don't necessarily just apply to ERP, correct?
Yeah, that's right, Mike. If you're doing any sort of technology project, you'll probably find things of relevance, and that could be looking at a CRM, Dynamics CE, Dynamics for Sales. Even in the Power Platform, you'll see pieces of the guide that are relevant. I mean, change management is relevant to most, IT projects. So there's pieces for everyone, regardless of what they're doing.
And what was, you might have explained this a little bit, but I want to go a little bit deeper. What was your thought process around putting this together?
Lee and I have both got 50 years each of experience doing this, right? 30 years, 20 years each. And sometimes it's hard to remember that the people that we're talking to don't do this day in, day out, right?
Yeah.
And it just comes as part of nature. We assume someone knows what a conference room pilot is. We assume that people understand that data needs to be clean and migrated. And I think that a little bit of this was saying, what do we know about what we know? And how can we share that in a way that gives a business who wants to make a change a really good understanding of the entire process, from when they select to when they go down. I mean, we don't talk about implementation methodology so much, but we talk about the bits that they have to do as part of a project. And I think that was an interesting exercise, because again, we do this every day. This is our bread and butter. We know what this looks like, but a lot of the people we talk to may not have implemented for 20, 30 years. They may have been using the same old system.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and you're right. I mean, it's, we go into a business, whether it's a distributor or a manufacturer, and they know their business, right? And they'll talk in a language that's very manufacturing or distributor specific around their business. I mean, we understand, what drives those businesses, but they'll talk in a language that's probably unique to their organization. And that's the same thing that we do. And Debbie's absolutely right. Just because we know it and we live it every day, we can't assume that everybody else does. And again, with our experiences, sharing this type of information for people to think about and consider, as they're looking at these types of projects, frankly, it's going to help them be more successful on the back end, and if we have the opportunity to work with those organizations, we would be going through those things anyway. And at the end of the day, it's all about creating project success. I mean, I had a CFO tell me about 15 years ago, to Debbie's point around how often people do these projects. She made a comment to me, as the systems integrator for their business. She says, you guys do this multiple times a year. I'm going to do this every 15 to 25 years. So I really look to you guys as the experts. And again, there's a lot of information that we have to share that, businesses can get a lot of, value from, which is, again, exactly what this document was designed to do, to provide them that value.
Great. Have you gotten any feedback, any specific feedback about the DIY guide so far?
Yeah, I got a little bit of feedback just a couple of days ago from a manufacturing organization and a CIO there. And his comment was, I understand that I should be buying not for today, but maybe I should be looking at what my business is going to need in 3 and 5 years' time. He said, you don't need to remind me. I read that and I'm quoting you back to you. So he found it really valuable. I've also seen a couple of other people who are looking at Dynamics repeat back to me some of the, how do we do this? Now, what did you really mean by that? But overall, it's been really, really positive. Lee?
Yeah, I've gotten actually some feedback from a couple of other colleagues here at Sikich as well. Very, very, very similar, type of feedback to what Debbie just said. And that was just, within, days literally of releasing it. But, when you have, businesses and they're starting to reference data points, from the guide, things that they ought to consider, and just the feedback that they're providing around the value that it's already provided them, it's exceeded our expectations in terms of, the value that we're providing them. So it's been positive so far.
Absolutely. So a lot went into this. Who were, or what kind of contributors were a part of putting this all together? And who are the authors and experts that did this?
I'll jump in here first. I mean, we're very fortunate, and we work with a lot of, really smart people that have got unique areas of discipline and experience. And, when you look at, all the aspects of the do-it-yourself guide, there's a lot of disciplines that are covered in that. And the fact that we've got individuals that can, cover everything from data migration to how projects should be, managed and organized, to change management, to, goals and objectives. I mean, you leverage those assets, you leverage those resources, and those are the type of people that we used to put this together.
We went outside of the realm of just your classic ERP. We looked at things like security. I mean, you would wonder why you would want to be talking about security, but it's a really great time to really consider whether or not your data is secure. We talked to a group at Sikich who specialize in the more infrastructural technology, who were able to talk to us in the guide more about how you make sure your network is ready. And that these cloud ERPs require a fair amount of juice to be able to run, and to make sure your network's ready for that. So we had a BI expert, Chris Liley, who talked a little bit about prepping your data for BI. I mean, people ERP project is generally not the end game. People want the data out of it. So the ability for us to sort of sit and look at the BI aspect, what intelligence you need out of the system. I think everyone had something to say, and all of these are pieces of the puzzle when you're looking at an ERP implementation.
How do you get this guide? Where do we go from here?
Well, you're bidding at $20.
Yes, made payable to Debbie Alto.
Made payable to take credit cards. So it's like about, not only is it the guide itself about 60 or 70 pages roundabout, but we also provide a lot of links to other content so people can use it as the foundation, drill in, drill out. Now, I believe Sikich.com in our insights, I suspect if you just search on the wording for the guide, it'll drop you right there. You'll be asked to put your name and the details in, and you can download it from the Sikich website.
Excellent. Yeah. I see we have a link down there now, sikich.com/D365DIY.
Yeah, don't really need the credit card.
Darn it. Excellent. Well, final thoughts from both of you. What do you hope that this guide will give organizations that are just confused and unsure about the future? What do you hope that this guide gives them?
You know what? I think it gives them a little bit of insight into what partners like us who do this every day think when we're talking to them. It gives them a little bit of a roadmap. How do I go about the process? What do I do? What's normal? What's not normal? And then lastly, what can I get busy doing myself so I'm not having to pay a third party to do all this extra work for in preparation. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons why it could be useful.
And Lee?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say I'd like for companies to look at this and think, wow, this really provides us a solid foundation, and helps us to either A, formulate a plan before we get started, or B, to help us to strengthen a plan, once we're already in the process. I mean, we're, here at Sikich, we hope people, really leverage this and find a lot of value in it. If they've got questions, we hope that they reach out to us with any questions that they may have pertaining to the guide. We'd be happy to either address those directly or, potentially put you in touch with some of the experts that contributed as authors to this. So hopefully they'll find a lot of value in it for sure.
Excellent. Well, like the saying goes, the hardest part is usually the first step. And I think this is a great first step for our organization, for organizations to get started in their ERP selection. Debbie and Lee, I want to thank you so much for being here with us today. That's all the time that we have. Again, make sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we're going to be live. We're going to be here next Thursday at 2:30 Central Time, and we look forward to seeing everybody then. Thanks again, Debbie and Lee, and we'll see you later.
Thank you.
Thanks, bye.